Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. We're also sponsored by Architect, the premier site for hosting your decks on the internet. I love them and they love me, and it seems like a good reason for you to use them. This episode is also brought to you by Monopool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and their team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivanB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Architect and Quiver and Monopool and my patrons at patreon.com/ShivanB. Thank you to everybody for your support, and I'm real hyped today because I have, artist proof agent to the stars. Basically, Vorthos Mike, who everybody knows in the universe, grabbed me by the ear once and said, "You haven't had Donny on your show." And I'm like, I haven't? I should? And he's like, "You should." In the Vorthos Mikeian way of, "You should." And I'm like, "Okay, Mike, okay." So I've got Donny Caltrider with me. You know what? You do a lot of things, but my best understanding of you is every time I need to get in line for Andrew Marr or for any of these random other artists, I end up sending you an email and begging and pleading for a spot in their queues. And you're always sitting in some artist or other's booth and just hanging out and making sure they don't go crazy. And I'm sure that there's a lot more you do than just that. But you're one of the biggest names in art in our fandom. And I'm real hyped to talk to you about it.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah. So would you say that's a fair characterization of what you do?
Yeah, I do a little bit of a lot of different things. I'm an art writer, I'm an artist agent, I'm an independent curator when it comes to things in the Magic space, for both, full-size illustrations. We've done some art shows, and then artist proofs. I've done my third gallery show is coming up in January of artist proofs. So I definitely do a little bit of a lot of different things, from commissions to events to selling originals to helping artists that are looking to break into Magic and what that entails.
So, wow, you just said a whole bunch of things there. I'm like, man, I had 7 questions from each of those. What do you mean by independent curator? What are you talking about?
So the show that I've done, this will be the third one coming up in January at Nucleus in Los Angeles. It's called Magic the Gathering in Miniature. This is number 3. So it's the third iteration. It'll be 333 artist proofs from 111 different artists for Magic's 33rd anniversary. It opens in just less than 60 days. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I saw there were some artists who put up some proofs, just art pictures, and I was like, oh my God, this is...
Yeah,
I want that. And they're like, yeah.
Folks, yeah. So previews are starting to come out now. People are finishing their work.
Oh my God, I need to own this thing. It's yeah, just go to the show. And I'm like, I'm not going to LA. Sorry.
Well, so you can buy them right online too. It'll actually open online to the patrons. Nucleus has a Patreon. You can sign up for it ahead of time. Anybody can sign up for a single month just to have access to the show. But there's going to be some really neat stuff from folks that don't always have artist proofs available. Tend to do them for this show, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. But because I remember hearing about the last 2 and they seemed really cool. I just wish they were 800 miles north of LA so that I could go. So it's in the neighborhood. It's fine.
Right. But yeah, that's largely what I do from a curator standpoint. I've worked on some art shows with Mike, who you mentioned before. We did one at IllexCon in 2019. And then I wrote some of the exhibition copy for another one that he did in Milwaukee later that year. I was on the show for the team for the show at MagicCon Philadelphia.
Dude, that show was sick.
In 2023, yep, I helped with that show. So usually if there's a Magic art show happening somewhere, I'm a part of it in some way.
Yeah, that's basically why I was interested in talking to you, because art in Magic and especially with fan interaction with art has dramatically changed over the past, I
Mhm.
don't know, 20 years or something. Because I
Sure.
remember, like, talking to Toby Elliott, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to be able to trade booster packs for original artwork," and I'm like, Toby.
Yeah, it was, it's a different time, and even I'm newer to the scene than a lot of, folks that were the old guard. I got interested in, collecting and, really collecting and talking about original Magic art in 2017, and I started writing for Hipsters a year later in 2018.
That is that is way more recent than I thought.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's obvious it's coming up on 10 years now, which
Yeah,
feels, it
Jesus.
feels like yesterday and also forever. But yeah, it's definitely more recent than some of the old guard folks. But even in that time, things have changed dramatically. Whether it was from COVID or just from an incredibly rising interest in that part of the game.
Yeah, I think that there's been a huge, like, especially in let's say since Innistrad forward, there's been this pivot that was slow, and then around like Eldraine and Pandemic, it just really
Mhm.
skyrocketed,
Sure.
where the focus went from just we go to events to play tournaments to we go to events to hang out with other Magic players to we want to explore the other parts of Magic. And like,
Sure.
before it was like, oh cool, I got like a token from RK Post, or I got like, some fan made tokens or something. And now it's like half of the show floor is art
Yeah,
and
it's like
artists and
50 artists at every Magic Con now between, well, and then I think it was either Vegas or Atlanta had 60 artists. I mean, it's a lot, but
yeah.
with those number of people, I mean, it's the people turn out for
I
that
mean,
part of the event.
the thing that's wild to me is the fact that it's become so big that it got Rebecca Gay out of retirement to show
Yeah,
up,
right.
and she's
Yeah,
like
I
the
mean,
queen of recluses. Are you kidding
sure,
me?
right, right. Yeah, no, it's I mean, it is a serious draw.
Yeah. Like, because I know, for instance, like, it's been wild to like before you would go to a show and you would see like there's like a few people who would be there all the time, like Margaret Organ Keene, or
Mhm.
you'd see RK Post, like some of the old guys. Sometimes you see Schuler more. Sometimes you'd see like
Sure.
Drew Tucker, whatever. Or no, not Drew. Who's the guy who does all the Goblin stuff? Jeff.
Oh, Jeff Lobenstein, yeah.
Yeah, he's at like every one of them forever.
He's another
And
every show
um,
guy, yeah.
yeah, and there's like a couple of dudes who are just like old timers who've just been kicking around. But now like they've got they got RKF to show up. They got uh, Rebecca Gay to show up. Like, it feels just like you could just see the blossoming of all this talent showing up. And it's sick because that means that I can get things like artist proofs and signatures, where
Yeah,
before
yeah.
it was real hard.
It's that
And
the access part of it has changed dramatically too. Even, sometimes you gotta wait in line for a while, but just to have those things be out and available and to have people excited about them, it's just a completely different landscape.
it's like you look at someone like EK who's got his full artist proof decks
Mhm.
or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's like insane challenge. But now it's just like I got Magali to draw an artist proof Legend of Zelda Link for me. I mean, yeah, she's not
Sure.
gonna do that for everybody, but still, it's like that would have been an impossibility.
Right. It was a thing that, not even beyond that, it was just a thing that people weren't interested in. And that goes
Hmm.
for players and for artists, you know what I mean? Like, it's it's super enjoyable for a lot of artists, and that's what makes like the Magic and Miniature show so fun, is because it gives people an opportunity to do something completely out of the box. And there's the financial part on the other side of it. People are
Yeah,
excited about it. They can explore. They get their work out to other people in a gallery setting or in like a massive event of 20,000 people, to have walk past things that
yeah,
you've done.
exactly.
That's a big deal.
I mean, I remember talking to, like, for instance, I have a diptych done by Andrew Marr where he's got
Hmm.
a dragon fighting against a knight on like a lance, a
Yep,
Dragonlance style artwork, and
I
I'm like,
remember it. Yeah.
this is so sick. But just like, for instance, I've known uh, Jason. What the hell's his last name? Jason from Florida. He does long hair. He's got he
Jason
did
Engel.
L5R.
Jason Engel.
Yeah, Jason Angle.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Hmm.
I've got like a million of it. Because like I remember when I first met him in 2000 at Gen Con when he was sitting by himself in a booth and had nothing better to do than fill
Sure.
my notebook with like sketches of my characters because he was killing
Right.
time. And now
Right.
his line is like a mile and a half down the room.
Hmm.
And I'm like, bro, uh, you have come a long way. And he's, well, because I remember talking to artists and they were like, Wizards gives us X amount of dollars for this painting, and that's the end of it. So anything else, like playmats and artist proofs and stuff, is where their income comes from.
Sure.
And for a
Yeah.
lot of these guys who would never go to shows, they'd be sitting on like Larry Elmore has only just now started selling his artist proofs because he was
I
just like,
know.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got them. I guess I should
Yeah.
do something.
They're here.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Larry, bro,
Mhm.
first off, hook up with your friend who you've known for 30 years and then give it to the normals. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
just
it's a whole different thing for artists too to take something like an artist proof and make it a part of what they do, whether it's for it's to monetize it to have another income stream or to use it as a place to experiment for different ways to work or different characters or just a thing to have fun, a warm up, a cool down. Like
Mhm.
for Andrew that you mentioned, like he works digitally, so for him inking on artist proofs is a way to do the thing that he loves. And also it happens that people get really, really excited about it. And he's always kind of done that with post-it notes and things like that. But having that as a collectible vehicle that people are really passionate about, changed a lot of stuff for him. It's just
Yeah.
a neat thing since he started working on Magic.
And like the secret is like he gets to draw things on cards that Wizards doesn't let him draw on the front of the cards.
Yes, there is that too. That's that changed just a little bit recently. They all artist proof sketches have to be PG-13 now,
Oh,
as
boo.
of January 1st.
Okay, well then I will have to ask
So
him on December
you have
31st.
you have to find as of January 1st of this year. So
Oh, fiddles.
you have to ask either of us in person about
Yeah,
the
well,
old lore.
that being notwithstanding, I still mean in terms of like for instance, Eli Mignon, his like on his artist proofs, he does full on like I've seen him do mixed media full collages on the back of those things.
Yeah, he works his process is a mixed media collage, and it took him a minute, and there was a whole experiment series that he did, but he figured out how to replicate that process in miniature on the back of an artist proof, which is pretty cool.
I asked him to do one for me, and I'm really, really stoked when it shows up.
That's
I'm going
cool.
to be so hyped.
Yeah.
But let's talk about you a little bit though, because I want to
Okay,
kind of
sure.
get your background here so that I can move into asking how this developed into you becoming everybody's like agent and what that even entails.
Sure, of course.
So when did you find Magic? Don't tell
I
me
started
2017 or I'll be really upset.
No. I started playing Magic in 2002, right after Onslaught came out. My best friend growing up, we're still best buddies now.
Are you from New Jersey or Pennsylvania?
I'm from Maryland, but right on the Pennsylvania border.
Okay. I heard that Onslaught and I was like, Onslaught? I'm like, okay, bro.
Easy now. But yeah, no. Onslaught in 2002. My first pre-release was Scourge in 2003.
Nice.
And we just played like a normal casual guy. I took a break in college, so I didn't play the original Innistrad or Zendikar blocks, which that was a bummer to miss. And then I came back after I graduated from undergrad in 2013 with Dragon's Maze.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was, but see, for me is like that's a bad set. But I played through the first Ravnica really hard, so I was like, for me, it was like, okay, I know what this is. I know right how to do this. Like I can run a draft. Like
yeah, for sure.
It was an easy way to come back in, even though it's a set that didn't wasn't necessarily.
I love it good. Still. I mean, my favorite commander came from there, Tajik, right?
Sure.
It's funny because like I didn't play the first Ravnica. It was during my first gap in Magic.
Sure.
And so like coming to RTR block, I was like, oh, this is sick. I get why everybody was so happy to see it come back.
Yeah.
It was. Have you ever seen my? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Have you ever seen my 3D Tajik? Did I ever show it to you?
I don't think so. No.
It's like done 13 layers deep. It was one of those
like one of those
collages
stacked. Yeah,
because
that
artwork has got depth and stairs and like little bits and stuff. So it ended up looking just unbelievably sick.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll show you next time we're at a con together. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But anyways, You were
It
saying.
was that was an easy way to step back into the game.
Mm,
We picked up some, I think it was just pre-cons at Walmart or Target or something like that, and we're like, yeah, this is still fun. And I played ever since. I found the MTG Art Market in 2017, like I mentioned.
mm.
I bought my first original
What
later
was it?
that year. It was Is It Cluestone?
Oh, a
Yep,
clue
from
stone.
from that block. Yeah, but again, that was in a time when not every original Magic work, but you could still buy a Magic painting for hundreds of dollars. Like that
Hmm.
was very much a thing, and it wasn't uncommon. And then I started writing for hipsters in 2018, and I started working with artists in 2020.
What did you do? Like, what do you do professionally, or what did you do that led you into being able to do art?
So that side of it, I have like a regular day job. I work at a car dealership, but
Mm.
I've been an antique dealer since I was in high school. So I've
Oh.
always had an interest in art, and I've always bought and sold things in kind of a public facing way. I would do shows up and down the East Coast and interact with
Mm,
people, and go to auctions,
mm,
run stuff through auctions. So it's always been kind of a part. And even on like my day job side of the car dealership, I was a buyer for almost a decade of
mm.
buying things out. So it's that side of things has always been something I've done. So it
So
was a pretty
you at least
easy.
have a familiarity with the commerce side of it and how to at least play the game.
It does, yeah. I've it's just different art. I've dealt in decorative arts for almost my entire life.
I mean, dude, antique shows are it's like going to a magic dealer's room times 1,000, right? Like it's
Yep, yeah.
especially on the East Coast where there actually are like old cool things. Like on the
Hmm.
West Coast, we don't have old cool things. It's just
Sure.
all yeah. But like there's an art to being able to look at something and not only assess value, but also realize that it does have value.
Yeah, and that was a really fun part of what I did, and I still do it a little bit now, but my magic work has largely taken the place of
It's your
doing
side
that
hustle.
on the right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because like you can only there's only so much you can actually
I know.
focus on in doing that.
Right, right, exactly.
So, what does it mean to well, okay, so you found Magic Art Market, which is a Facebook group where they sell buy and
Hmm.
sell artwork.
Yep.
What what were you doing there? Were you trying to get things, or like how did you
I
develop
was
this interest in there?
I was a collector first, so it's like I loved magic. I've always liked the art, but like many people that find that as a hobby, you never it's there's often a disconnect of like, oh, I can own the painting that's on a card. Like that's for a lot of players, that's not a thing that pops into your head. Even if you like art and you do those sort of things, I never put those things together
Mm,
until I saw that was actually a thing. So I was a collector first for I guess 3 years before I ever even sold a piece of magic artwork.
mm,
But it was a very natural progression of I like this and I want to collect it to the only person writing about this was Mike, and I was like,
mhm.
I want to write more about this because I'm interested in it and I enjoy writing. I have
Yeah,
a
your articles are great. They're
Thank
deeply
you.
informative and it like between you and Mike and there was a few people on like SCG or something who would write about art and stuff. And
Mhm.
it that was like a whole window into a side of Magic that I didn't have previously. Like
Right.
I knew the lore, I knew like and obviously I've paid attention to art because
Sure.
it's Magic. That's how we get into the game.
Right.
But
Right.
there's ooh, that's pretty, and let me show you the classical influences of what's going on in this painting, or
Right.
whatever, and it's like that's wild. That's so
Hmm.
sick.
Yeah, it was one of those things where you create the content that you want to consume because
Which is
it
why I
wasn't
have
out
this
there.
podcast.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you want to do the thing. I got my graduate degree in museum studies from
Mm,
Johns Hopkins, and I finished that in 2017, almost exactly when I discovered the art market. So it was like one of those weird serendipitous things where like I
oh,
was learning how to tell stories about objects, and now I found these objects that I've loved my entire life, and now here's the thing that I'm going to tell the story about. It happened almost at exactly the same time, which is really
that
cool.
that is, I graduated when I graduated college, and like my last year was focused on English and literature criticism, and I moved
Mhm.
into games journalism doing reviews. And if you look
Sure.
at my first handful of reviews and stuff on oneup.com from 1,000 years ago, they were
Uh-huh.
all like talking about Jacques Derrida and like, signs and signifiers. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm
Sure.
getting a little too highbrow for Mega Man Battle
Right.
Network.
But those it's those sort of those sort of things that influenced how you wrote those things and
Yeah,
how you write now, and even like for me learning how how objects can tell stories and how the interpretive power of museums helps me you know talk to people about art and why it matters,
yeah,
why the painting on a trading card is important and why that's changed over the last 5 years and why people care about it now and why they're going to care about it 50 years from now.
right.
Because that's a real thing. It's magic art now matters because it's going to be around as a part of a genre in 50 years and 100 years. We're going to talk about stuff like that, and we just happen to be alive at the time it was on a trading card. It's a
Right.
pretty neat thing.
Isn't it crazy? And it's wild because, like, when you look at we like the range of artists who have come to Magic are so unbelievably varied.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
like you get things like high classical art and then down to I draw comic books and now I'm gonna draw Jeddah O'Jonin or whatever. It's like
Sure.
uh it's especially when I started playing back in like Ice Age or Revised or whatever, it would just very much like here's Stasis, and then here's the Hand of Justice, and this guy looks like the cover of an Image comic, and this guy looks like
Right.
Picasso, and I don't understand what's
Sure.
going on.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
now at least, yeah, go ahead.
It's a neat thing, especially since the advent of Secret Lair, which changed the way the
Yeah,
game looks. To let some of those things exist in Magic that didn't have a home before, but now very much have a home now. Like, and they did it in such a way that, like, yes, it can be jarring at times, but like you look at somebody like Justine Jones, who I work with, and
yes,
she got her first cards were in her Secret Lair, and
which are
now
some
she's
of the
had
sickest art.
they're amazing. Her and I've told her this before, but that Secret Lair captured my attention and set me on this path that I'm at, because I would go on to do an interview with her, and her and I have worked together very closely now for the last 5 years, and
Mm,
it changed the way I looked at the game too, because I'm like, I obviously loved classical Magic art and the way the game looked, and that was interesting, but I'm like, wow,
that Earth
there's really
Dragon
something
though.
here. This is something completely different, and yet it fits
Mm,
seamlessly into the game. And that was a really cool epiphany to have, just
yeah.
out of nowhere.
Uh, like some of the secret layers haven't hit for me, but I just love that they experiment and that
Hmm.
they get to like do there's because then sometimes you find art that you didn't even know you were like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. And
Yeah,
sometimes you're like, this is definitely nothing at all where I want to be, but
yeah,
somebody out
yeah.
there is gonna have that same eye blink, and I'm like, God bless, go have a good
That's
time.
it. Yeah, there's plenty that don't that just don't do it for me. Whether it's not
Like
my
the
jam for the
Serum
style.
Visions eyeballs ones, I was like, no thanks.
There's so much, but like you said, there's for everyone that I don't particularly enjoy, there's somebody that thinks it's the coolest thing in the world, or that like they followed this person when they were a mural artist 15
Yeah.
years ago, and
Or
they
like,
just
"Oh
happen to
my
have
god,
that
my favorite
crossover.
furry artist is now making magic art." Like, what the hell? Like,
It's I mean there's a million different things. The Magic Encyclopedia that we just got.
you mean the
That
one
that
that's in my hand right now?
that one right there, yeah. The demonic consultations done by Ed Steed. He's a New
The
Yorker
New Yorker one,
comic
I was
artist.
literally gonna pull that out to show you because
He's
even when I like okay, so my son and I opened the encyclopedia together, and he was
mhm.
like, "Papa, isn't this like the one in your magazines?" And I was like, "Holy crap, it is the New Yorker."
It is. That's the
But
guy.
the one that really stunned me was the fact that the artist behind Hilda came and did a whole secret layer, and Hilda's one of my favorite, like, cartoons on Netflix
Right.
and, like,
Sure.
comic books, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is unbelievably beautiful." And, like, the dude behind Bob's Burgers? What? What?
I know.
Okay.
There's all these intersections, and you wouldn't necessarily know unless you really really start digging, or it's very much an if you know you know thing. I'm a fan of this particular show, style, niche, whatever it is.
And then you look
and
at
then
like
you
this
see it
this
again.
freaking Isokron scepter with the 1980s, like
Sure.
I don't know what the hell flat.
Right.
No, like don't. What?
But that car is done by Kieran Yanner, who's done
Who's
more
like
than
an
200
insanely
Magic cards
yeah, exactly.
in a very traditional sense. So it's
Kieran
like
Yanner's been doing magic art since like the game started, right?
a
Like,
very long time. Yeah.
oh man,
I
dude,
was a
this
big fan of
encyclopedia is so
that
good.
secret lair. I like that encyclopedia a lot. I think they did a brilliant job with it.
The Mirel and the Lana War elves are
Hmm.
so good.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to ask you. So you started getting into buying and selling artwork. Well, you got into
Mhm.
buying artwork, and then presumably you started moving to selling artwork because you could.
Kind of, yeah. So I was collecting artwork for myself. I bought a couple paintings. I bought a fair amount of sketches and color studies, but again, those were things that were $100 or
Yeah.
$200, and it was just a different time. I started selling artwork with artist proofs for an artist named Richard Sardenha,
Mm.
who was a referral from Mike that he wanted to do some oil paintings or an artist proofs, and this was before that was
Dude, that's
really a thing.
wild.
Like there was art on artist proofs, obviously, but in 2020 we were selling oil painted artist proofs from him for $100, and that was great. It was like amazing, like because it just wasn't a thing that existed. Um,
That's insane.
it right, it was only 5 years ago, but that was like there were plenty that we sold for $80, $100, and it just from there I started reaching out to other folks that I had met either from Eluxcon or that I had written an article about and said, hey, this is the thing. It's COVID time now. Like, if you want to try this, I want to try to help you do it. Um, and I did a couple runs of painted artist proofs, and they seemed to be pretty popular. And then when Ikoria came out, Carl Critchlow came back to the game, and he and I had been pen pal buddies for like 3 or 4 years at that point, talking about art and antiques and things like that. Just kind of on a whim, his cards came out. I sold his inks for him. And then Rick had found all of his old color studies and sketches that summer of COVID summer, and I helped him sell those. Rick Sardenha, that I did the artist proofs for.
Yeah.
So he had all of his stuff that was at his parents' house, and we put that up, and that was pretty cool. And then Justine decided the following year, because her cards came out in 19, it was about a year that she wanted to sell her sketches. And while we were selling her Dragon sketch and her like Silver Overlord, the original Secret Lair,
God.
is when her Beholder came out for D&D. And then after that, it was just kind of, it was kind of on. And I work almost entirely by referral now. So, I add new people that are recommendations from people that I've been working with. And
that's cool.
It's been like that since 2022, really.
Dude, sometimes artists need someone like you to help them sell things sometimes, because like Jason Rainville was one of my dear friend favorite artists. I got one of the first artist proofs he ever did, and I had him draw Jason Rainville.
Oh yeah, I know Jason.
Yeah, I got one of the first artist proofs he ever did on the back of a card from like Battle for Zendikar or whatever it was.
Sure.
And I was like, hey, some artists will draw a token or something on the back. Would you do one for me? He's like, sure, I guess. I'm like, can you draw me a soldier? And he read, can you draw me a soldier? So he Twitter stalked me, found art with me, and drew me as a 16th century Mughal soldier.
Nice.
And it's like the sickest thing I own. And he's like,
I love that.
I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, yeah, it's like, I guess that's $1 or something. I'm like, are you an idiot?
You're right. No,
that's not $1. And don't you ever do that again. And then I met him for the first time in Amsterdam. And he was like, you keep showing that stupid card I did for you so long ago, and I hate it. And I'm like, I'm going to cut your throat right now. Right. And he's like, so I did you another one. So he gave me one in a frame that he made
an updated version,
aged up version of me. And I'm like, okay,
that's cool.
You have survived to live another day, sir.
That's fun. I've had a couple artists that have, like, if I get a proof, I'll do artist choice, and it'll come back and it's me on the back of it, which is kind of fun.
It's cool, man. It's so
fun.
sick.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's neat.
So you also mentioned that you were an agent. What does that mean?
So it's a little different for everybody, but I work with about 36 magic artists regularly in varying capacities. So for some folks, that means when they have a card come out that has an original art component to it, I sell that thing, whether it's a sketch or a painting or whatever it is, and then that's what I do. There are some folks that don't have that because they're digital or otherwise, and I sell their artist proofs.
Hmm.
So when they have a card come out, they get 50 copies of foil, 50 copies non-foil, white back magic card called an artist proof, and I'll either book their commissions, help them sell their blanks. There's some people that I just help price and they put it on their web store. So it's a little bit different there. And then there's also some folks that I do events with, which is less.
Yeah.
It's Andrew Marr and Justine Jones here in the U.S. and then Titus Lunter in Europe.
Man, I need to get Titus on the show. Meeting him in Amsterdam was sick. He is such a sweetheart.
He would do it. He loves to do that.
Oh
stuff.
yeah, no. He gave me his email. I've just been too lazy to actually. It's only been 2 years. It'll be fine. I'm like, hey, remember me? No, he knows who I am.
Yeah, no, he knows who you are. He was my very first behind the brush artist interview for Hipsters of the Coast, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and we've really been buddies ever since.
I like his art a lot. His art, especially his landscapes, and the lands he did for Eldraine were so sick.
Yep.
The one that looks like the big Star Destroyer.
Yep, yeah, the Castle Lochwain, yeah. He's working traditionally now too. He's doing a lot of traditional experiments, and this stuff is really, really something. We'll have a collection of those ready to sell next year probably. They're going to be really, really neat.
I'm excited. Yeah, because like I know, like obviously we run to each other at cons all the time, and you're always sitting in Justine. Like Justine and Andrew seem to just have like joint booths now, I guess, or is it just convenient that way, or what?
So we did the double booth in Vegas for the first time. So I had done smaller events with Andrew, Command Fest, which we saw each other at a couple times, and just some littler stuff. But he had decided, we had talked about it. We're like, look, we're going to do a couple of these small ones. And then if you decide you want to do a big one, we'll figure it out. Because I had done MagicCon Philadelphia with Justine because I was at Magic 30. They announced Philly. She's like, oh, I know. I'm like, look, if that means you're going, it doesn't have to be me, but you need somebody there because these are
she will burn out so quick.
They're nuts. And we did Philly together and it worked really well. And we've done every U.S. event together, save for the second Vegas because it was too close to when my son was born. So somebody else was at the booth with her. But otherwise, we've done them together. But so when Andrew was ready to do these big events, I talked to both of them. I'm like, look, I can do this in the middle because I know how to bounce. Is everybody cool with it? And we figured it out. So now we have this cool double dragon booth of just like monster line, and it's a lot of fun, but it works really, really well.
Yeah, and you just sit in between the two of them.
And I work right in the middle, and I just bounce to both sides.
What do you end up doing there? Like, what do you do in the booth for them? Because I know these guys, they're just breaking their wrists all day.
That's it. So the idea is that they can sign and interact with fans, and I do all of the other stuff. So if people have questions, I answer them. If they need something, playmat, print, proof, whatever it is,
steel token,
I do all the money before they get to the artist. So that way, when they get to the artist, they can say, they can have a conversation. It's not transactional. It's an experience for them. They've done their business and all the other, commercial part of it, and they can have a memorable experience with the person they just waited an hour to see.
It's an hour, if only.
Conservative, yeah.
Oh man, it's funny. I'm just like, my desk is covered in just nonsense. Like I have an RKF proof that I've just got just sitting here for some reason.
Right.
Oh, I think it came with a playmat. That's what it was.
Oh yeah.
I got one of his playmats, and they were just
also.
Yep. It was funny. I got to meet RKF and his wife at whatever the last MagicCon was, because I had helped them during the beginning part of the Kickstarter, and they were looking for me for like 2-3 years to find me and say hi. And they gave me a Dak and Blackblade proof as thank you. And I was like, nice. Not the original, the Dak and Blackblade Planeswalker. I should be very clear about that, because the original Dak and Blackblade is a house payment.
that is a very different, right? Sure.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with any Dak B from Richard Ferguson. That's
yeah, fine. They're lovely people.
Yeah. So what have you? So you've been sitting here and you've been like helping all these artists and stuff for pretty extensively for the past 5 years. What have you seen in the community in terms of just like feedback or like response in this time period?
So it's been an interesting changing landscape. I mean, the the rise in really, I mean, collectibles as a whole, and trading cards as a whole since COVID
Mm,
changed the landscape for a lot of artists. And kind of like we talked about it at the top of the show, it's generated an enormous interest, which has really been good for everybody. I mean, you went from having an event with 5 artists to having an event with 50 artists, and not just an event with 50 artists, but an event with 50 artists where 45 of them do extremely well. Because that's the thing, right? Everybody's nervous. It was like the first MagicCon had 25. We're like, that's a lot of
mhm.
artists in one building, and then it had 30, and then 40, and then 50, and then 60, and we're like, okay, at some point you're gonna hit a cap of like where it's somebody starts to not have a very good show because there's too many people here, and that just
Yeah,
hasn't been the case. Now the original art market has cooled off a little bit, kind of in general, but the
the economy is
20
cold.
right 2020 to 2022 was kind of a wild time.
Yeah,
You know,
people had a lot of time and a lot of money and nothing better to do.
that was it, and in proofs that market is still kind of growing because people have found it as an interesting alternative, and a way to interact with the game. If you're not interested in buying originals that are several $1,000s, you can buy very nice painted proofs for several $100s.
Exactly.
It stretches
That
your budget. You still get a nice thing. You can play with it.
mhm,
There's
mhm.
there's a lot of benefits to that. So that market is still very much growing as well.
That's basically the tack I've taken, which is that uh, there was a point where there was like a few original pieces I desperately really wanted to get, and I just could not. I couldn't beat the guys who have like infinite trillion dollars,
Sure.
and so learning that like artist proofs, and then being able to get sketches on artist proofs, and then being able to get paintings on artist proofs and stuff. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I can still have that deeply unique item from an artist I love, and it's not going to kill me. Like, you
Right.
know,
Plus,
like
and
getting like Pancos to draw like a Team Ninja Turtles or whatever for me is great. It's awesome.
right, and you've mentioned it a couple times, and I've said this on some other things that I've talked about. For me, artist proofs are the best little like timeline marker memento souvenir that you can, because you're like, oh, I got this proof when I met this person at this event in this year, and we did this. And as soon as you see that proof or that drawing on the back of it, you're immediately transported back to that time and place. So
Yes.
it's like you look at your Magic timeline, your Magic career, and it's got all these little blips on it, and so many of those can be tied to an artist proof. And whether it's $5 or $500, the meaning is the same for folks, and it's just a really cool thing.
One of the coolest things I own that I'm not going to go and reach up onto my shelf and grab down to show you is that at one of the Grand Prix Vegases, I was playing in a cube with that Missouri MTG was running,
Hmm.
because Jeremy likes to do cubes like that, and he had me and
Sure.
Saffron Olive and a bunch of other random people just sitting there hanging out and playing, and I won. And I was like, oh, cool! I just got to play cube, and it was fun. And I didn't realize that he had a prize on the line, and he ended
Oh,
up giving me an unlimited uh, illusionary mask that Amy Weber had drawn a sketch on the back of.
that's cool.
And I'm like, and he's like, she doesn't do proofs like at all. I mean, she doesn't do sketches on proofs at all anymore. And I was like, just having an artist proof of an unlimited card in the first
Sure.
place is
Yeah,
insane.
right. It's
And
pretty
then
neat.
having an artist proof with a sketch on the back is
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
right.
okay, okay,
They-
okay,
they're so
okay.
right, and that's the thing. It's like you remember that cube draft that like
Yeah,
you've done hundreds of cube drafts, but like
right.
this made this one really special.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
it's just a card. It's a way. It's another way for folks to find a neat thing to make Magic theirs
Yes.
that benefits artists at the same time, which is also that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's for me, and plus, I think one of my favorite things is like when I was at Atlanta, and I was at Atlanta, and I went out to dinner with Schmandrew and with Engel and with a bunch
Mhm.
of other random artists, and we were hanging Alan Panicol and
Yeah.
like some other friend of theirs, and we were just talking about art and like cards and whatever. And the next day, I'm getting cards signed for my my Furion deck, and one of the artists I had gone to dinner with had drawn like one of the equipment that's in this deck, and I go up to him, I'm like, "Hey, do you have an artist proof of this one? Because I want it for my deck, and he's like, nobody ever asks me about that card. I
No,
love that
yeah.
drawing that thing, but it's just like a random comment and nobody cares. I'm like, it's doing gangbusters in my deck, and I love this. So I'm super
Sure.
happy, and like I've totally made his day because it's like one of his favorite like earliest paintings he did, and he just
Yep.
it's
It's so fun
artists
when
love
you
talking
get
about
to
these things.
have that little
Yeah,
experience. I run into that with Andrew every now and again because he's done over 100 cards now. So it's like every now and again you get somebody that finds something from the deep catalog back in 2021 that we've sold like 3 of ever, and they talk about how it's their favorite thing and it's in this deck, or
yeah,
whatever
and
makes
some
it
emotional
special for them.
resonance,
It is, and all of a sudden that $10 artist proof, could be $1,000,000 for them, and it's
right?
really cool. So
Like that,
you
just
you
there's
just
the
love to see that
feeling.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I love seeing Schmandrew's like just his whole presence exploding and his art getting
Mhm.
crazier and crazier.
Mhm.
um Having him do the logo for my show has worked out great for me because like now he's a big deal and I can say like,
Yeah.
look, the famous artist Commander drew our
Yeah.
drew me
And he
dragon.
he was one of the artists that was on, when I some of my earlier articles for hipsters. I did one in 2020 and 2021. Before I was working with artists,
Mm.
I wrote an article called the Magic Artist Wish List. And it was people that were outside of Magic that I knew from events or online or whatever, that I'd seen their work. And I was like, I think they should be on Magic. And Schmander was one of those folks. And almost everybody off that list, save for like 3 people, is now working for Magic. And
That's
that's a
so good.
pretty cool thing.
That's really, really sick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these guys got to go somewhere, and all the people. Like, okay, you and Mike have mentioned Elexicon a lot.
hmm
What is that?
So it's a convention in Reading, Pennsylvania. So not a large place. It has happened. This is, I think, year 18. This
Hmm.
is the 18th year. It is the largest gathering of traditional fantasy illustrators in the world.
Man, I want to go to that. That
It's
sounds
it
sick.
is it is the place where you can go and have a conversation with Donato. You can go meet some of the upcoming folks like Schmandrew, Eli, Mania has been there. Serena's done it several times. It's very much a meshing of people that have been doing this for a long time and people that want to do this for a long time. And for me, it's very close. It's an hour and a half away.
Hmm.
I started going that first year in 2017. I saw somebody post about it on Twitter, and I was like, "That's very close to me, and I can go and meet 40 Magic artists in one place." Like
Jeez.
as I'm like getting excited about this, it was amazing, and I've been every year since.
Yeah, and it's probably a good way for you to make contacts and actually just hang out with them.
No, it is. It's what became very much is like a go and see people and get some card signs and hang out. Now it's become very much a thing. Like this year, I did a panel on artist proofs. It was called AP 101 artist proofs
Hmm.
and where to find them. And I hosted a live sketch where artists hung out in one of the upstairs galleries and people could watch them draw on proofs and they could buy them
Oh, that's
afterwards.
sick.
And it was just a cool little sketch fest jam thing. But conversely, so there's 2 parts to the lexicon, which it's now called IX just because they tried to make it a more like streamlined thing, just because it's kind of changed. But you have the main show, which is
Hmm.
a juried. So you have to jury in. It's on 3 different floors. It's all traditional. So no digital art. It all has to be paintings that somebody's created. And then on Friday night and Saturday night they have something called the showcase, which is
Hmm.
150 more artists, and
Jeez.
that can be anything, no AI, but any digital, traditional, whatever it is, for folks that either didn't jury in or didn't want to do the whole run because it's a 5-day show, and a lot of up and coming folks. So like Schmandrew would do that. A lot of
Hmm.
folks will do the showcase and then attempt for the main show if they work traditionally, and that makes sense for them. But it's also the best place to find people that might be doing magic in the next couple of years before they're doing
Hmm.
magic. And it's a neat
I
thing.
would assume
Like,
the
oh,
magic art directors probably go too, don't they?
they do. So they've done portfolio reviews there. Zach Stella is generally there every year. He wasn't there this year, but he's been every other year since I've been.
Hmm.
Not necessarily on Wizards business. Even when he was just an artist and wasn't an art director, he would go there because it was the place to see things.
Cool. So You since you work so directly with artists and like hang out with them all the time, can you explain like what has been the vibe of them as like Magic has been expanding so like immensely from like four
Sure.
sets a year to like a set every 2 days and like secret layers and all these other things,
Right.
and the amount of work is both going up but is also like harder to come by. And I mean,
It's
and I get what's the like the vibe of the artist like with all of this flood that we're dealing with.
so it's different for folks depending on what their relationship with magic is. So there's a lot of artists that magic is not the only thing that they do, right? So it's
Mm,
they take some cards, maybe they do book covers, maybe they do events, they fill their time with other things. And then there's other artists that basically exclusively work for magic with some other things. So they
mm,
are looking to take multiple cards each set or each wave in their time when they're not doing card art. They're doing events, they're doing artist proof sketches, they're selling play mats, they have a web shop, whatever it might be.
mm.
So for some folks, there's a lot more opportunity. For other folks, they are trying to make sure that they can stay relevant in the changing tides and themes. Obviously, Universes Beyond is kind of a different boat for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Some people really want to do that, and they are excited about illustrating their favorite IP, even if
Yeah,
it
like
has to be digital.
Margaret,
There's other folks
like Magali was like, hell yeah, I get to draw Lord of the Rings characters. Let's
that
go.
that that's it. And then there's some people that aren't interested in it at all, and have started to distance themselves from the game because of it. So it's a mixed bag depending on how much you want to be a part of it. I guess it's like anything else. You know what I mean? If
Sure.
it it's
If it's
very
not
much
your vibe
like
anymore, it's
that's
not
it.
your
It's
scene, right? Like,
very much like a player. You know what I mean? If you don't want to buy or play with Universes Beyond cards, you don't have to. And if you're an artist, you can do the same thing. It's just
mhm.
it's just you can kind of pick and choose that.
Yeah, because like I don't know, it feels like artists, especially with UB stuff, get a little bit of a short end of the stick because the licensing agreement stopping them from getting to make their traditional
It
avenue
is,
streams,
yeah.
revenue streams.
Yeah, you're right. There's most properties do not allow for traditional originals. There are no prints, playmats, or proofs.
Yeah, it
So
sucks so much.
they can sign cards, which that in and of itself, if you're a Magicon going artist and you do a UB card that's really really good, you're going to sign a ton of them, and that can
Mhm.
make up a lot of lost ground. But yeah, it is a bummer missing out on some of that other stuff.
I was so heartbroken when I found out like from Rainville that like his Street Fighter cards were all digital, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I want that Ryu so
Yeah.
badly, and
Yep.
he's like,
Yeah.
yes, so I would love to give it to you, but
Yeah, it's nice that there are some provisions now with Marvel, and some of hopefully some other stuff in the future
mm,
that there will be traditional originals available for some of that stuff.
yeah, because I mean, can you like? I remember when the D&D cards came out, and like the Drizzt to Erden card sold for so much money,
It's 155,000.
so much money,
Yep,
like because D&D collectors are even more insane than Magic
that
ones.
that's just it. It's that has a history that long predates Magic of buying and collecting artwork and nostalgia and things of that nature. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was that was a pretty wild summer. But even though that was technically Universes Beyond, because they had all the rights to it, that was an easy
Right.
slam dunk for everybody.
Oh yeah, like God, I would love more D&D sets. I mean, the as a fan and also because as a collector, it's so much easier
Sure.
to get.
Yeah. Right.
Um, but I don't know, man. Like, it's just I think it's so great to like every show we go to. There's just more artists and new people,
Mhm.
people with like even only one or two cards, and suddenly you're like, oh, this is sick. Like
You're
Alan
right.
Panical, getting to meet him, and he's like, I've got two cards. I'm like, that's awesome. You got to start
Yeah.
somewhere. Let's go. Or Joe, you know.
Right. Yeah. Right.
God, I'm
Exactly.
so proud of Joe to going from like booth buddy to like his own booth
Me
now.
me too, man. It's I'll tell you my Joe Cameron story. I met Joe unknowingly at IX in
Mm,
2018 or 2019. We were at a commander table together,
mm,
campaign commander table. Didn't know each other. Um, but then maybe a year later or so, he did the tokens for Command Zone for game time.
yeah.
and I was still writing for hipsters. We were doing like their launch articles of like, this is the Kickstarter, here's all the stuff. And if there was an artist involved, Craig Blanchett would reach out to me, and I would do an interview with the artist, whatever. And we realized, we're like, do we know each other? Have we seen each other before? And it's like I got his headshot, and I'm like, I know who you are. And we became buddies after that. We were at ElixCon every year. He was in the Magic Artist wish list after he took Winona Nelson's Smart School class, did a couple of really nice pieces, got hired, and now I've handled his artist proof since he started in Magic.
Yeah.
And he has a really, really nice color study coming in Lorwyn. That'll be like his first traditional piece for the market.
I got to hang out with Joe at Philly. We got to know each other because I think we were either crashing together or we were just hanging out together. We went out to dinner, just the two of us, and hung out for like hours and became very good friends. And then when he started doing his own art, and then I commissioned him to do the logo for my Dragonlance show, and he drew this absolutely stunning dragon for me. And I'm like, Joe, you were so and he's like, but he's so humble. He's like, I don't want you to pay. I'm like, no, shut up. You need to eat, and I need to pay you because I'm not going to have this dishonor on my head. No, but he's a good such a sweetheart, and his art is I'm so proud of him. His art rules, man.
He's done some amazing covers for Hit Point Press, and so much of that skill and talent is you can really see it in his Magic work. Now that he's just he's a part of the regular flow, and he's
isn't that sick?
Just fabulous stuff out there.
Who do you think we should be paying attention to?
Ooh, that's a good question. So the IX showcase this year was actually really, really good. Not that it's not good every year, but it was it felt a cut above this year with some really interesting people that are working on their way towards Magic, and some people that have signed one and that are making their debut next year.
How about, who do you know who has just recently started that looks like they've got a promising career ahead of them? Because like obviously Joe Schmandrew.
Sure, yeah, right. Joe, Serena, who she started awesome. in 2022. She's just done an incredible job of just really leaning into and putting every single bit of her talent and drive into making incredible work for Magic. She was another one of my wishlist artists that I found her on social media from her posting when she was still doing her own stuff, and just like trying to sell prints on imprint. She got hired for Streets of New Capenna. And
dude, her Ristic Studies is so ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, with Ristic Study and Bitter Blossom, and the cards from Eldraine. After that, I mean, and then she'd had 9 cards for Bloomborough. So she was a huge part of that set. It was either 9 or 11.
The one that was from the Edge of Eternities, the Beyond the Quiet, is like absolutely ridiculous.
Yes. I think that is, and this is not because I'm her agent or I sold the painting, that is the piece of the year, and is one of those things that we'll talk about 5 years from now.
It is unbelievably stunning, and it's like, it reminds me of the first time I saw a Wiley Beckett painting, or like just like something that's just so striking and so just like unbelievable. My secret favorite Serena one though is the Disciplined Duelist, because I've got a raised foil of that one.
Sure,
and
that was her very first card to come out.
That card, I should get a print of that, because that card is like it's Secret All-Star in my Enchantress deck, because it wears enchantment really well, and it just looks sick. You see the dude rolling his sleeves up, and it's just
it looks so good. It was like it was such a perfect match for her. But like, no, I mean she's somebody that has really latched on to Magic and is just doing an incredible job with it.
Yeah, man, art is so cool.
Art rolls. It does. It's so art rolls.
Cool. This has been a really great talk. I've really enjoyed it. If folks want to find you, are you still writing? No, Hipsters is kind of like here and there.
Oh no, it's back now. We are back, baby.
Oh God, Magic needs people like Hipsters. Really does.
Since July, I've worked with Rich to kind of get the wheels moving. It's slow, but you can find articles most Tuesdays, and you can find long form, Vorthos, sicko art, nerdy stuff every Thursday on Hipsters. I write one, and then there's 3 other guys that are writing. So you can find the good stuff is back on Hipsters, and will continue into next year. But yeah, you can find me on Hipsters. I have a Substack that I try to keep up with, called Snack Time on the Stack, and you can find me everywhere by my name, Blue Sky, Instagram, all the normal places.
Awesome, man. It's been great. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah. And as always, my friends, you can find me at Shivam Bhatt on Blue Sky, and you can find this podcast and our podcast sold or at YouTube every Tuesday. Thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also hear me on Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic or the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast. Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic was drawn by Shamandrew. Chronicles of Dragonlance was drawn by Joe Cameron. And I should mention, Casual Magic's logo is done by, of course, our beloved Inkland. I love her. She's so good, and her tokens are great. But with that, my friends, remember, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.